Story 1. It was just past 11 p.m. and I found myself in the back room of our building, surrounded by stacks of boxes that needed rearranging. Working at a regular hardware store, I was assigned the overnight shift as my usual coworker was on vacation. Despite being alone, I didn't mind the solitude. There was a certain freedom that came with being solely responsible for the tasks at hand. After all, when you're left alone, people tend to expect less from you, and any unfinished work wouldn't be a significant concern. Taking my time, I carefully organized the deliveries that had arrived earlier in the day. I broke down pallets and loaded the boxes onto carts, ready to be stocked in the main shopping area. As I filled a few carts, I selected one and pushed it toward the far left aisle. Outside, rain poured heavily, possibly even escalating into a storm. Through the sound of rainfall, I thought I heard something peculiar coming from the front of the building. Initially, I brushed it off, assuming it was merely the building settling or producing random noises. Engrossed in my work, humming to myself to ward off the boredom, I once again caught a faint sound that grabbed my attention. Curiosity got the better of me, and I walked toward the front of the store, gazing down the long aisle that led to the front door. At first glance, there was nothing out of the ordinary, no signs of movement or anyone's presence. I lingered for a while, not in a hurry to return to my tasks. Suddenly, it happened again. This time, I could have sworn I witnessed movement near the front door, the source of the eerie sounds. Working alone in my familiar place of employment, with all the doors securely locked, I wasn't exactly afraid. However, I wanted to ensure that nothing unusual was happening outside. Approaching the front door, I peered through the glass, noticing significant smudges and scratches on the surface. To my surprise, there was nothing outside but the pouring rain, devoid of cars or people. Feeling a sense of relief, I turned to head back to my work area. Silence persisted for quite some time, maybe even an entire hour. Then, once again, the sound emanated from the front door, startling me from my tasks. Dropping what I was doing, I hastened back to the front of the store. From across the expansive area, I could unmistakably discern a figure moving outside the door. Driven by a mix of curiosity and concern, I closed the distance between us. However, the figure abruptly halted, remaining motionless for a moment before darting away. Determined, I sprinted toward the door, hoping to catch a glimpse of the person, but the combination of darkness and relentless rain obstructed my vision. Although I couldn't clearly see the figure, I became certain that this person intended to break into the store. Aware of the gravity of the situation, I retrieved my phone from my pocket and dialed the police, my hands trembling as I stood by the door. The operator assured me that help was on its way and that it wouldn't be long before they arrived. With my phone back in my pocket, I anxiously waited, fixated on the door. I surveyed the parking lot, which remained deserted. But then, as I turned my gaze toward the side of the building, my heart skipped a beat. There, in the shadows, stood the same figure I had seen before. Alarmed, I quickly stepped back, fearing that he might have noticed my presence. I retreated several paces, attempting to muffle any sound I made. Astonishingly, within a mere 10 seconds, the figure reappeared right outside the door. Although the glass remained foggy and covered in raindrops, I could sense that his gaze was fixed upon me. Suddenly, he slammed something against the window. It appeared to be a large rock. Again and again, he struck the glass, desperately trying to break through. Feeling a surge of adrenaline, I retreated hastily, my mind racing. I sprinted toward the back of the store, seeking refuge in the office, and swiftly locked the door behind me. The sound of shattering glass and the blaring alarm filled the building, intensifying my fear. I remained in the office, trembling, listening intently for any further signs of intrusion. Minutes dragged on in agonizing silence, amplifying my anxiety. However, relief washed over me when I finally heard the distant sirens, signaling the arrival of the police. Their voices echoed through the building as they methodically searched every corner, inching closer to the office where I anxiously awaited their arrival. As they entered the office, I identified myself and recounted the events that had unfolded. To my surprise, the intruder was nowhere to be found. It seemed that after breaking the glass, he had simply vanished into thin air. The situation perplexed me, leaving me with a disconcerting sense of unease. Part of me even wished that the intruder had stolen something, as it would have provided a motive for his actions. But the fact that he hadn't taken anything only deepened the mystery. I couldn't comprehend what he wanted or why he had targeted the store. The unanswered questions continued to haunt me, even to this day, fueling my lingering fear. Days turned into weeks, and the incident at the hardware store lingered in my mind like a persistent shadow. I found it difficult to shake off the unsettling feeling that someone had deliberately targeted the store, but the motive remained a perplexing enigma. As time passed, my curiosity transformed into a relentless pursuit of answers. I scoured local news outlets, hoping to stumble upon any reports of similar incidents or clues that could shed light on the mysterious intruder. Yet, my efforts yielded no results, leaving me frustrated and unsatisfied. Determined to unravel the truth, I reached out to fellow employees, trying to piece together any fragments of information that might lead me closer to an explanation. but my inquiries only returned blank stares and shrugs, as if everyone had conveniently forgotten the unnerving event. Unable to find solace or closure, I decided to take matters into my own hands. With the permission of the store manager, I delved into the surveillance footage from that fateful night. Sitting in a dimly lit security room, I painstakingly reviewed the recordings, my eyes glued to the screen, searching for any minute details that might have eluded me before. Hours turned into days as I meticulously analyzed every frame, hoping to catch a glimpse of a crucial clue. And then, in the midst of the countless hours of footage, I noticed something that sent a chill down my spine. In the corner of the screen, barely visible, a fleeting figure appeared, almost ghost-like. My heart raced as I zoomed in on the figure, desperately trying to extract any discernible features. However, the low-resolution quality of the camera made it nearly impossible to identify the intruder. Frustration gnawed at me, threatening to derail my quest for answers. Refusing to succumb to defeat, I sought the expertise of a private investigator, someone who specialized in unsolved mysteries. Together, we meticulously analyzed the surveillance footage, drawing upon their experience and honed investigative skills. However, despite their best efforts, the identity of the intruder remained shrouded in darkness. Days turned into weeks, and the investigation reached a frustrating impasse. It seemed as though the intruder had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only unanswered questions and an unsettling sense of vulnerability. Haunted by the incident, I became hyper-aware of every creak and rustle, each noise amplifying my unease. Sleep became an elusive companion as nightmares plagued my nights, replaying the events over and over in twisted variations. The once familiar hardware store morphed into a house of shadows, and I could no longer shake the feeling of being watched. Paranoia crept into my every thought, as if the intruder's presence lingered just beyond the edge of perception. I contemplated leaving my job, seeking solace in a different environment, but the fear of encountering a similar situation elsewhere held me back. Instead, I remained on constant alert, my senses heightened, my mind forever on guard. To this day, the unanswered questions haunt me, serving as a chilling reminder that sometimes the darkest mysteries refuse to unveil their secrets. The memory of that night continues to weave its tendrils into my existence, a constant reminder of the fragility of safety and the lingering presence of the unknown. Story 2. I used to work as a bus driver for the local suburban kindergarten and elementary schools, a job I cherished for almost 15 years. But as I grew older, it became increasingly challenging to maintain a cheerful demeanor while navigating the chaotic energy of young children. Seeking a change, I transitioned to driving city buses, just a short walk from my apartment. The city bus company I joined had buses operating round the clock, although during nighttime, only a handful of buses would be deployed on longer routes. The night shifts were often undesired, but as a day driver, I was obligated to take on 2 night shifts every other week. Despite the disruption to my sleep schedule, I found solace in the diminished passenger traffic and quieter roads. The night shifts offered a respite from the daytime stress. On a particularly quiet night, somewhere between 2 and 3 a.m., I traversed my usual route, finding no one in need of a ride. The streets were deserted, and the solitude imbued a sense of calmness. As I approached the final stop, I decided to take a brief break, parking the bus while I rested my eyes, ensuring not to doze off. Suddenly, a noise jolted me awake, causing my heart to race. An elderly man stood at the door, peering at me intently. Startled, I mustered a nervous smile and opened the door for him. He scanned his bus pass and made his way to the back, taking a seat. The encounter felt slightly awkward, but I dismissed it, assuming he might have been wearing earbuds or lost in his own thoughts. Intent on providing the best service, I decided to stop at every bus stop along the route, despite the lack of passengers. Glancing at the mirror periodically, I noticed the man remained seated at the back, his gaze fixed straight ahead. His behavior struck me as peculiar, but I chalked it up to the idiosyncrasies of late-night commuters. Approaching the final 2 stops, I wondered when the man would disembark. After all, the route looked back to where he had boarded. As I pulled up to the next stop and shifted the bus into park, I looked at the man through the mirror. After a brief pause, he rose from his seat and began walking down the aisle, but his downward gaze raised my concern. As he approached, I turned my body toward the road, pretending not to notice his unsettling countenance. To my surprise, he stopped right beside me, his eyes piercing into mine. Attempting to maintain normalcy, I asked if everything was okay. The man continued his piercing stare, then averted his gaze, retracing his steps to his seat. This encounter triggered a sense of foreboding, and anxiety gripped me. After a moment, I resumed driving toward the final stop, feeling an unspoken tension pervading the bus. The roads and sidewalks lay deserted, amplifying the eerie atmosphere. Suddenly, the man stood up and briskly walked down the aisle. This time, he forcefully shoved me against the side window, pressing a gun to my temple. Staring into his eyes, I could see that same deranged anger and rage that had unsettled me before. Confusion and fear flooded my thoughts as I grappled with the unknown motives behind this terrifying encounter. The man remained silent, his grip tightening on the gun, intensifying the pressure against my head. Then, with his mouth wide open, he unleashed a gut-wrenching scream, deafening in its fury. Without warning, he released his grip, retreated, and exited the bus. In a panic, I swiftly closed the door and drove away, my trembling hands fumbling for my phone to contact the police. I dialed the emergency line, providing them with a detailed account of the harrowing incident. I knew that the man's identity could potentially be traced through the bus pass he had used for payment. An officer was dispatched to the location where the man had disembarked, while another arrived at my location to gather additional information. In the days that followed, the police showed me a picture of the man whose bus pass the stranger had used. To my surprise, it was a completely different individual. This revelation left me bewildered, wondering about the twisted intentions of the man who had confronted me. What sick and convoluted thoughts could have driven him to perpetrate such an act of aggression? The incident remained an enigma, haunting me with its lingering sense of unease. Despite the absence of a clear motive or resolution, I was determined not to let fear dictate my life. I continued my job as a bus driver, albeit with heightened caution. Every night shift brought a tinge of apprehension, as if the shadows held secrets that could emerge at any moment. The solitude of the darkened streets no longer felt peaceful. Instead, it served as a constant reminder of that fateful encounter. Over time, I found solace in sharing my story with fellow drivers and friends. Opening up about the chilling incident allowed me to process the trauma and find support in those who understood the realities of the night shifts. Together, we exchanged tales of eerie passengers and strange occurrences, fostering a sense of camaraderie amidst the unsettling aspects of our chosen profession. As the years passed, the intensity of the encounter began to fade, replaced by a lingering cautionary tale. It became an integral part of the folklore shared among bus drivers, a whispered reminder of the unpredictability that lurked beneath the surface of mundane routines. Occasionally, during the quiet moments on my current routes, my mind would drift back to that chilling night. The sound of the rain against the window would echo the memories, and I would find myself glancing at each passenger with heightened suspicion. But I refused to let fear dictate my actions. Instead, I channeled my experience into a renewed dedication to the safety and well-being of my passengers, maintaining a vigilant eye and ensuring their trust in my abilities. Though the encounter had left an indelible mark on my psyche, I refused to let it define me. I embraced each day with a renewed appreciation for life's fragility, determined to find strength in the face of adversity. The road stretched ahead, and I continued to navigate its twists and turns, ready to face whatever darkness or light lay in wait, secure in the knowledge that I had triumphed over the shadows once before. In the years that followed, I found myself increasingly drawn to unraveling the mystery behind that disturbing encounter. The incident had sparked a curiosity within me, an insatiable desire to understand the motivations and intentions of the man who had confronted me on that eerie night. I delved into countless articles, books, and online forums, searching for any clues or similar accounts that might shed light on his actions. As I delved deeper into my research, I discovered a few unsettling anecdotes from other bus drivers who had encountered similarly bizarre and aggressive passengers. These stories echoed the same eerie undertones, where seemingly ordinary individuals would transform into vessels of uncontrolled rage and hostility within the confines of the bus. The more I dug into these accounts, the clearer it became that there was a pattern emerging, a pattern that went beyond a mere collection of isolated incidents. It seemed that the buses themselves held a peculiar energy, an inexplicable magnetism for individuals harboring inner demons and frustrations. Fueled by this newfound knowledge, I connected with other bus drivers from different cities and countries, forming a network dedicated to sharing our experiences and investigating this phenomenon. We exchanged stories, compared notes, and even compiled a database of peculiar incidents that had occurred on buses worldwide. There was a consensus among us that these encounters were more than mere coincidences. They hinted at a deeper, darker force at play. We delved into urban legends and folklore, searching for any myth or legend that might provide a clue to the strange occurrences on our buses. Some stories spoke of spirits that haunted specific routes, while others pointed to ancient curses placed upon certain vehicles. While skeptical at first, the weight of evidence began to sway even the most skeptical among us. Our group reached out to paranormal investigators, hoping to find answers in their expertise. Together, we embarked on late-night expeditions, exploring abandoned bus stations and rumored haunted routes. These investigations yielded mixed results, with moments of eerie silence punctuated by unexplained phenomena. Though we never captured definitive proof, the lingering sense of otherworldly presence only deepened our conviction that there was more to these incidents than met the eye. As our research expanded, we caught wind of a small, secretive group of individuals who claimed to possess esoteric knowledge about the supernatural connections to buses. They called themselves the Guardians of the Transit Veil. Intrigued, we managed to make contact with one of their members, who agreed to meet us in a secluded location. During the clandestine meeting, the Guardian revealed ancient texts and manuscripts that detailed the existence of a parallel realm intersecting with our mundane reality, the Transit Veil. According to their teachings, certain individuals with heightened sensitivity and dormant psychic abilities could unwittingly pierce the veil, thereby attracting malevolent entities and distorting their behavior. Armed with this newfound understanding, We recognized that the man who confronted me on that fateful night might have been a victim of this supernatural influence. His rage and inexplicable actions were symptoms of a larger, hidden realm that intertwined with the world of buses. While the knowledge we acquired provided a semblance of explanation, it did little to assuage the lingering unease that nestled deep within me. I continued to drive my bus, ever vigilant, now aware of the unseen forces that lurked just beyond our perception. The encounters with aggressive and disturbed passengers became a constant reminder of the delicate balance we navigated between the visible and invisible worlds. I carried the weight of responsibility, not only for the safe transport of my passengers, but also for shielding them from the enigmatic forces that sought to disturb our daily lives. And so, I pressed on, armed with newfound knowledge, a sense of camaraderie with my fellow drivers, and an unwavering determination to protect those entrusted to my care. Story 3. In my mid-22nd, I found employment at a sprawling library that occupied a historic old stone building at the heart of the town. Initially, my role involved restocking and organizing books during mid-shifts, but later a new overnight position was created. Despite the reluctance to take up the solitary night shift, the lure of a substantial pay increase convinced me to accept the offer. At first, the transition to the night shift seemed promising. I reveled in the solitude, free from the distractions of customers and co-workers. I would lose myself in my tasks, accompanied by the rhythmic melodies of my favorite music. However, as time passed, an unexplained unease began to pervade my nightly routine. The sheer size and age of the building started to weigh on my mind. The vacant darkness that stretched across the expanse of the library created a sense of foreboding. Sometimes, as I glanced up from the bookshelves, I couldn't help but feel as though unseen eyes were watching me from the labyrinthine aisles. One fateful night, while engrossed in my work, I heard a faint sound emanating from the far side of the library. Startled, I removed my headphones and strained my senses. There it was again, a distinct thud, as if a book had fallen to the floor. An eerie silence enveloped the room, amplifying the sound. Momentarily frozen, I hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Rationalizing that it could be a simple case of books toppling off the shelves, I cautiously continued my duties. Yet, with my headphones now abandoned, a sense of heightened vulnerability gnawed at me. Something felt amiss, as though unseen forces were at play. Compelled by an unnerving curiosity, I ventured towards the source of the sound, each step dragging me deeper into the enigma. As I reached the last aisle, a chilling realization gripped me there was nothing out of place. No fallen books, no sign of disturbance. It was then that I felt an overwhelming presence, an indescribable sensation of being watched. Turning my gaze towards the entrance leading to the back storage room, I discovered a figure concealed in the shadows. Fear constricted my throat, urging me to flee. But I forced myself to maintain composure. I averted my eyes, retraced my steps, unlocked the front door, and escaped into the night. Trembling and tearful, I dialed the emergency line, summoning the police to the scene. As they conducted a thorough search, my mind raced with possibilities, regretting my failure to secure the front door. However, their investigation yielded no intruder or evidence of any wrongdoing. Doubts seeped into the minds of my co-workers, questioning the validity of my encounter. Understandably, many believed it to be an elaborate ploy to evade night shifts, but I knew the truth. The sound I heard, the figure lurking in the shadows, they were real. Despite the harrowing experience, I resolved to retain my job, albeit with a temporary switch to mid-shifts for added security. In the days that followed, my colleagues and I conducted stock checks, scrutinizing inventory records for anomalies. Yet, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. No significant losses or discrepancies. The incident remained an enigma, leaving us to ponder the intentions of the mysterious figure. Life eventually settled back into a semblance of normalcy, and I returned to my nightly duties. Surprisingly, no further disturbances occurred. However, the memory of that night lingered, an unsolved puzzle haunting my thoughts. What drove that man to infiltrate the library? Was he merely a mischievous trickster, or did he harbor more sinister intentions? As the years passed, I continued my work at the library, enveloped in a veil of uncertainty. The incident faded into the recesses of memory, yet its impact remained. The library became a place of both solace and trepidation, a space where the boundary between the ordinary and the inexplicable blurred. During my night shifts, I maintained a heightened awareness, always mindful of my surroundings. The library's hallowed halls, once filled with the whispers of books and the echoes of footsteps, now carried an undercurrent of mystery. I often found myself tracing the same paths, retracing my steps as if searching for answers in the shadows. As I delved deeper into the vast collection of literature, I discovered obscure tales of haunted libraries and spectral visitors. These stories resonated with my own experience, reinforcing the notion that perhaps the incident was more than a simple encounter with a troubled individual. It fueled my fascination with the supernatural and sparked a desire to unravel the secrets that lay dormant within the library's walls. Late one night, driven by a newfound curiosity, I embarked on a quest for knowledge. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of trepidation, I explored the forgotten corners and hidden alcoves of the library. Dust-laden volumes whispered their forgotten tales, and the dim glow of my flashlight cast eerie shadows on ancient manuscripts. With each step, the air grew heavier, laden with an otherworldly presence. I navigated the maze of shelves, guided by an invisible force that urged me deeper into the labyrinth. Whispers seemed to emanate from the pages themselves, as if the books yearned to divulge their secrets. In the heart of the library, I stumbled upon a secluded chamber, a repository of ancient tomes and arcane knowledge. It was here that the answers awaited, shrouded in the mist of time. I perused the shelves, tracing my fingers along spines adorned with faded gold lettering, until I came across a weathered leather-bound book. As I delicately opened its aged pages, the room seemed to shift, as if caught in a time warp. Words written in an archaic script danced before my eyes, revealing the tales of previous custodians of the library, their encounters with the enigmatic and the supernatural. Stories of shadowy figures, whispers in the dark, and unexplained phenomena intertwined with my own experience, forming a tapestry of intrigue and fear. Lost in the pages of this hidden chronicle, I unearthed a revelation, an old legend entwined with the very foundations of the library. It spoke of a vengeful spirit, a tormented soul trapped within the walls, seeking redemption or retribution. The spirit's appearances were said to foretell impending misfortune or serve as warnings to those who dared disturb its domain. As I absorbed the tale, a chill ran down my spine. The pieces of the puzzle began to align, and a sense of understanding washed over me. The figure I had encountered that night might not have been a mere intruder, but a manifestation of the library's restless spirit, a guardian of knowledge or a harbinger of doom. Armed with this newfound insight, I returned to my nocturnal duties with a newfound reverence. I treated each shelf I stocked, each book I rearranged, with a mixture of caution and respect. The library became a delicate dance between the corporeal and the ethereal, where the boundaries of the known and the supernatural intertwined. Years passed, and I eventually bid farewell to my position at the library, leaving behind the enigmatic realm that had become a part of my being. Yet, the memory of that night and the mysteries that surrounded the library remained etched in my mind, a testament to the unseen forces that reside within the pages of our collective human knowledge. To this day, I carry the weight of that experience, a reminder of the intricate web that connects our world to the realms beyond. The library, with its secrets and spirits, left an indelible mark on my soul, forever altering my perception of reality. As life led me on different paths, I found myself drawn to the study of folklore, mythology, and the occult. I sought answers, seeking to understand the nature of the supernatural forces that had permeated my existence. The library became a metaphorical threshold, a gateway to a vast realm of hidden knowledge and untold stories. Through my research, I uncovered whispers of other haunted libraries scattered across the globe. Tales emerged of spectral librarians who still diligently perform their duties long after their passing, or ancient manuscripts that hold forbidden knowledge, protected by enchantments and curses. It was a testament to the enduring power of these sacred spaces and the profound impact they have on those who enter their hallowed halls. Inspired by these accounts, I embarked on a personal pilgrimage, visiting renowned libraries with haunted reputations. From secluded monastic archives to grand public libraries, each held its own secrets and ethereal inhabitants. I delved into the stories shared by librarians and patrons, collecting fragments of the supernatural tapestry woven into these literary sanctuaries. One particular journey led me to a remote village nestled amidst mist-laden hills. Here, a centuries-old library stood as a beacon of knowledge, its faded stone facade adorned with ancient symbols and sigils. Locals whispered of strange occurrences, of books that seemed to rearrange themselves overnight in ethereal whispers that echoed through the corridors. With permission from the caretakers, I delved into the library's archives, immersing myself in its collection. As I thumbed through the weathered pages, I could almost hear the faint echoes of the past, the echoes of scholars and seekers who had come before me. The library seemed to possess a sentience, a living entity that observed and guided those who ventured within. During my stay, strange phenomena became commonplace. Books would mysteriously fall from shelves, pages would turn unaided, and the air crackled with an otherworldly energy. Yet, there was a sense of harmony, as if the spirits within sought to communicate rather than frighten. In the company of the village elders, I listened to age-old legends that echoed through generations. They spoke of ancient rituals performed within the library's depths, of lost knowledge and hidden gateways to realms beyond. It was a testament to the library's enduring connection to the supernatural, a testament that transcended time itself. Leaving that village, I carried with me not only a wealth of stories and experiences, but also a profound understanding. Libraries, with their meticulously curated collections and silent guardians, serve as bridges between the tangible and the intangible, the known and the unknowable. They are sanctuaries where the human spirit intertwines with the mysteries of the universe. Now, as I reflect on my journey through haunted libraries and my own encounter with the unknown, I realize that these experiences have shaped me in ways I could never have anticipated. They have taught me humility, curiosity, and an unwavering respect for the hidden forces that surround us. Though my days as a library worker may be behind me, my love for knowledge and the enigmatic remains. I continue to explore the realms of the occult and the supernatural, seeking to unravel the threads that connect us to worlds beyond our own. And in the depths of my heart, I carry the stories of those haunted libraries, forever grateful for the secrets they unveiled and the mysteries they left unsolved.